Stereo video number 3. There's a lot of really nerdy shit in this video, and I tried to breeze through it as quickly as I could, but I had to say it all. It's as condensed as it can be, and it's as thorough as it can be condensed. I try to break it up with a lot of fun stuff, so please just watch and try to absorb some of it, and please ask questions. Follow me on Instagram, Big City Off-Road.
Turn dirt into diamonds, that's major. You searching for fame. I became a superstar.
Couple of quick things with this video. Please watch it on something that has a good audio system. Your phone speaker, it isn't gonna cut it. I've watched this video probably 50 times in the editing process, and I know for a fact you're gonna need a good stereo system in order for this video to make the most sense audibly to you. Good boy. You like your platform? Oscilloscope wired into our CA output, checking the waveform of AC voltage out of that output for distortion. So we're going to do 50 hertz and 1000 hertz, and the idea is to see if it clips at max volume. So I'm going to turn the radio up, and you are going to see a waveform get much more pronounced on the oscilloscope. And what we're going to look for is flat spots in the sine wave.
There's a lot of really nerdy shit in this video.
So we're all the way up. Equalizer is flat. This is a 5-volt pre-out radio. So we have a total of 6.2 volts clean signal. There's no flat spots. Frequency, that's second one down, 50 hertz. Blinking pretty badly. I'm gonna go to 1000 hertz. So it's probably gonna play a fucking ad. Yep, that's what an ad looks like. What I'm doing here is I'm changing the time scale at the amount of time that we're looking at on the screen. One thing I noticed, the volume on the radio is still at 50. At 1000 hertz, we only have 3.7 volts.
Down south, we swinging them things. It's 95, yeah, but we come again. Swang, and bang. And now you know what my real G's do. Tip service, swing and bang, jam. Nothing but that screw fool.
Hey Ryan, what do you do for a living? You obviously don't make YouTube videos. Well, this is what I do. You have a radio, a total system volume knob, a bass volume knob, the epicenter volume, we'll talk about that later. The radio itself will have the volume control like any other radio would. You have the epicenter itself, the digital signal processor, the subwoofer amp, the mids amp, and the tweeter amp. Everything in blue is an RCA cable. Everything in purple is a remote wire. The radio will turn on the DSP first. The DSP has 3 outputs for remote on that you can sequence. The DSP will turn on the epicenter first, then it will turn on all the other amplifiers together at the same time. That should hopefully stop the thump that we all know and love in a stereo system, and it will reverse sequence turning all that stuff off when the power's cut. Fucking dryer. Now this is where it gets a little complicated. It's easy to follow, but I could see how somebody could miss it. We all know that bass knobs are a thing. Let's turn up the bass. That is not what I'm using. I'm basically using RCA. It's like a gate. Imagine like a valve. It's a rheostat, and I'm turning up the passable signal on the RCA on the signal line. So out of the radio will be turned up to full volume at all times. It will never be turned down. It will be on 50. Always. From the radio, an RCA cable to the total system volume knob, it can be turned from nothing to full power. That signal line will go to the epicenter first because the epicenter needs full across the board range of signal from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz in order to do what it does.
Nerdy.
Out of the epicenter, now with whatever signal it has added, we'll go into the DSP. I'll have one channel for the tweeters, completely tunable on its own. That channel is tunable, so I can only feed what I want to the tweeter amp. Same is true for the mids amp, so that takes a lot of processing and a lot of filtering out of the amplifiers. It won't have to do that. All of this is in the spirit of the cleanest possible signal because the gains, you want as little gain as possible. Gains are incredibly important. You have them as low as possible so that you have as little distortion or no distortion, ideally, going to the speakers at any time. The whole point of all this is to be able to turn the volume up full max and do no damage to anything. So here we have 500 watt amp, that's what's on the tweeters. 1000 watt amp, that's what's on the 6.5s. And then the power and ground come over from the other side. 12 gauge wire for all the speakers. Everything's labeled nicely. That way there's no confusion when something comes apart. Every single wire in the system has a wire ferrule on it that's been crimped. Even the 4 gauge, even the 0 gauge on the other side. There's no just loose wires stuck into anything anywhere. The RCA cables you saw, all handmade, all of them, every end. Digital signal processor. This is my equalizer. This is my crossover. One pair of inputs and then 4 pairs of outputs. I only have 3. One for a sub amp, one for the mids amp, one for the highs amp. Then I can adjust in here all kinds of goodies with this here little button. And it's also a knob. I can set frequency ranges so that the amplifiers don't actually have to do a ton of the work themselves. This is my sub amp. This is pretty soon going to get replaced with a much bigger one. This is nowhere near enough power. This is a power distribution block here, and then kind of probably out of the view of the camera. So there's a ground distribution block up there. This is the positive and negative terminals for the speakers. It's just a bolt that goes through the box, and then all the wiring is on the inside. I didn't want to drill a hole. And all the amps and processors do have a little bit of a rubber foot to protect them from vibration. It ain't much, I'll admit, but it's something. There's like a rubber spacer underneath the amps and then a washer with rubber on the bottom of it on the screws, so it kind of gives some minimal damping. I mean, it's next to nothing, but it's something.
Stuff I found in the field. Yeah, I call it kill. What do you say your name was? My name is Zeldar.
This is an example of what the epicenter does. I'm going to turn up some volume so you can hear the song. Then I'm going to turn up the bass. That's all the natural bass in the song. That's everything that the song has in its original recording. And then I'm going to add epicenter, and it will create a new and add a new bass tone to the song. next video is gonna be installing Mercedes-Benz seats in this thing. These seats are trashed. I mean, they're trashed. I started on seats like 6 months ago, right when I started the stereo project. We spent some time at the Plasma Lounge doing some designing and some cutting. But that was all filmed 6 months ago, so it doesn't matter anyway. You won't know that unless you watch this far into this video. After that, we're gonna finally cut and buff the paint on this thing, and I'm gonna ceramic coat it and probably some tail lights. I think I'm gonna make some weird, funky custom tail lights for this truck. And then, if I'm being totally honest, I might just be done with it. I think it's time for a race car. Pretty soon this is gonna be big city race car or lowrider, probably race car. So don't get mad. I don't drive this thing off-road anymore. It's kind of a shame actually. I wish I did, I just don't. I just got married, which is part of why this video took so long to come out, because I've been getting married. Seats, paint video number 2, bumpers, who knows after that. Thanks for watching, and subscribe, share it, do all those things, and follow me on Instagram, Big City Off-Road.